Right, I think you can pretty much see what I've got to do on this one. Them actual trees are actually touching on the roof themselves and actually laying on top of the ridging tiles. Again, neighbours don't tend to look after things and don't worry about the boundary. And the tools I used on this was the Parker, 2 extensions, pruner, hedge cutter, 2 16-foot poles, 2 different saws to go on the end obviously, and 2 different parrot beaks. One's a heavier geared one, but the other one's lighter, so I use it on the smaller stuff. As you can imagine, this particular job is a real neck breaker. It was painful on the neck. What I did, you couldn't really cut them back at the boundary line and just let big lumps fall. Everything was just in-house, so I basically cut a little bit off at a time. So you've got no big bits sliding down the roof. If you had too big a bit, obviously it's going to potential damage, and then it's going to slide down and knock the guttering off. So it was a case of taking a little bit off at a time and working the way back to the boundary. When you're on the ground and such a distance away, them bits up there don't look that big, but they're bigger than what you think they are. So a job like this is a case of just being cautious all the time. I used 2 poles, both poles identical. They're both Dalek telescopic poles, and more if you're using a saw. If you're up full extension and you pinch that blade, you're a bit buggered really. So that's why I run 2 poles. Plus, if you've got 2, you save you swapping around the head all the time. But as you can imagine, a 16-foot pole, they do flex a little, and they do take a bit getting used to. But when you do, they're handy tool. This is actually the larger of the 2 pruning heads, and the heavier of the 2 as well. You'll know when it's on the end of the pole, full reach. But this one will actually cut through about 1.5 inches, no problem. I used the parrot beaks to pretty much take the light stuff off the ends first, and then I actually put the pruning saws on the end and start taking the woodier stuff back with that. But if you can use a pole, I personally would suggest using a straight blade over a curved one if you're only having one blade. I find the straight blade just a little bit more versatile than the curved, but the curved one will cut thicker. So here we are. I'm actually on the saw blade now. I did actually put the ladder there. I'm only about 3 foot off the ground, but it just helped me get back a little bit. And as most things, it's Sod's Law. When I started, there wasn't a breath of wind. As soon as I really got cutting, wind gets up and all gusty and trees moving around, so made it a bit more interesting. But also you can't actually see, it just sort of run behind me phone wires, so I had to be aware of them being there as well. But one thing, you should always be a bit cautious. Bear in mind these are aluminium poles. If you're if you've got electric wires over top of buildings, etc. I know they're meant to be insulated and things, but you don't want to touch it, whatever. But this job is very much just a cut back. I'm not doing any sort of technically sophisticated pruning, cutting back to growth points or collars or anything like that. It's very much just a chomp it back to the boundary. To be honest, the neighbour's garden is absolute mess, and the trees are all broke, split. So it's a case of what I cut won't be doing no harm, that's for sure. And in the day, that's what the customer wanted. They didn't want anything fancy, they just wanted it cut back. So I'm on the side of the drive now, and as you can see, it's been cut before. It's all spindly growth. So basically hedge cut, and then I some thicker bits in there I took off with a pruner. And that's pretty much all the cutting done. As you can see, that's a big old ash tree there. I've cut as high as I can safely do it, which the lady is more than happy with, but I did explain to her to get that completely back to the boundary you need an arborist in to do them. There's some big old wood up there, and as you can see, some of the ash tree was actually physically sitting on top of them ridging tiles. So it's actually got it back quite well, and I managed to get a little bit higher than I thought I would. So the lady was well pleased. Sorry the camera is a bit shaky at this point. Sort of from this sort of viewpoint, you can sort of imagine how much actually came off of there. So, and there's the heap there. I believe that actually the fence is all being replaced as well, so I think the contractor's coming in sooner rather than later. And goes through the chipper. I've heavily edited this bit up. You don't want to see me again putting leafy stuff through, so You'll just see a few big bits go through. I'm actually chipping it sort of on into the trug onto the ground. Their brown waste bin is actually sitting on the curb waiting for the dustman as such to come and empty it, which they did so about halfway through the chipping. So then I filled the bin back up again, which was brilliant. So in total it was probably about 1.5 binfuls of chip. All this went in, so had a bit of a result there. They turned up. And there it is all done. It looks a bit different to when I started. So thank you for watching, and hope you enjoyed. Thank you.